Hey, welcome back to Wade into Wealth. I'm Chuck Wade. My brother Ethan is here, and we're going to take a little detour this week on this week's podcast and talk about fantasy football and what it's taught me about investing.
I love fantasy football.
And I don't.
I love it.
I don't. I've played twice in my life. Years and years ago, I worked at Channel 13, and this year in our
we're doing a podcast about it. You really don't enjoy it? It doesn't give you something to look forward to like throughout the week?
I will tell you this. It makes watching the games on Sunday.
Makes all the games
I am more
pertinent.
engaged.
Yeah.
But it's and I don't know, maybe it's just me being grumpy or saying, I'm doing fantasy football because I don't like having to go in and change my line. You know what's made it easier? Cell phones.
Yes.
The phone.
Yeah,
because
of course.
Before, when I played, you have to get on your computer. I
Nah,
mean, what
you
a
don't have to
first
do
world
that
problem.
anymore.
Say,
Yeah,
I
you
had to
don't
sit
have to
down
do
on my
that anymore.
computer. I got to log into ESPN. I have to do this.
It's all on your phone now.
It's more, and I guess this was because I was comparing what I needed to do to what other people do in fantasy football, where people are doing research about what player should I be drafting. You're trying to figure out the best player to pick on your team. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. Like I texted the guys in my neighborhood. I said, I'm not coming to the draft. I don't have time. It's at 9:30. I want to go to bed.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know. So just auto draft me.
Yep.
Best player available. Make sure all my positions are filled. I've done that both years I've played fantasy football. So in the last, I would say probably 14 or 15 years, I played fantasy football twice. I have auto-drafted both times.
You are that person.
I am that guy.
Yeah.
Now, in both times, I have finished in the money.
Yeah.
I finished second when I was at Channel 13. And this year, as we're recording this, I am in the championship game, so I will either finish first.
I think you might have played in
second.
a work league for 1 year.
Did I?
Yeah.
All right,
Pretty
so
sure.
maybe
I
I
just think
did.
you stopped paying attention to it halfway through.
That was probably it. All right, so 2 out of 3 then.
Yeah. 67% is not
At
bad.
worst, 2 out of 3. I
Yep.
finished either
I mean,
first or second.
I'm pretty sure you auto drafted that one too. So that one's no
I
different.
might have. You know what?
You are
though?
just
I
the
think I just
the perennial
stopped.
auto drafter.
I think there were weeks where I just had players on buys that I
that's
didn't
my
even
point.
set
You
the
just stopped
lineup.
paying attention
Yeah.
to it.
Well, and that's it. I just don't care
Well, yeah.
that much. But this year, all right. So what did it teach me though? Because I thought of this, and I was out the other day hiking, and I thought there's a lot of parallels to the kind of investing that we talk about with what I have done in fantasy football.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm handing that off to something that is a lot smarter.
We're talking
than
about
I am.
fantasy football specifically
Yeah,
here.
in fantasy football. Thank
When
you.
you're talking about
No, with fantasy football, I don't pay enough attention. I watch the Bills. And
Yeah, I
that's
get it.
Look, for half the year, I had a receiver named G. Wilson on my team. I didn't know his first name. Or Deontay Johnson, who plays for the Steelers. I didn't know who it was. I just said, that's D. Johnson. And I have G. Wilson. And
Yeah.
they're doing okay.
Yeah.
That's
G. Wilson
it.
was good first part of the year.
That's it. And now what it does is it tells you every week, right, here are the projected points for each player. So I just go in every week when I set my lineup and I pick the players projected to score the most.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking, what do I know?
So what are you doing? You're allowing the experts at ESPN, who they use all this statistical data to come up with these projected
Right.
points, to give you and guide your decisions there.
Yes.
Instead of you, who has a full-time job, 2 kids, a busy schedule, doing the research on your own to figure out who you think is going to be the best player
no.
this week.
I have no
Right?
interest.
That's
That
what-
is exactly
that's
it.
what it is.
That is exactly it. And what that is, it's some self-awareness of, one, I don't know.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't want to pay attention to it. That's not how I want to spend my time. And so I'm just going to let the experts tell me. Yeah, all right. Let the experts tell me. And so that's what happened. And, my team did okay during the regular season, just good enough to make the playoffs. And in the playoffs, we've been on fire.
G. Wilson and D. Johnson.
I didn't even rename my team. My team had someone else's name last year.
What's the name of your team?
Well, and then the league administrator changed it because he's like, I don't know what it was. It's Team Wade.
Creative.
He
Very.
changed it to Team Wade. It was something team. And I'm like, I'll just leave it.
Very
I know
creative.
it's my team.
My team name is Wheaton.
That's funny. That's funny. How'd your team do this year? Tell me about your experience.
Didn't make the playoffs.
Not so good.
Started. I am in the camp. I enjoy it. I very much look forward to fantasy football.
Okay.
It's like, for me, there's 1 o'clock on Sunday is a time for me to sit down and take a little bit of, or let's not kid ourselves. It's to do tasks around the house with my iPad, watching football and paying attention to it. It gives me something to look forward to every week.
I get it.
And I like, just look. I'm a very competitive person. I don't like to lose.
Yeah.
And so I fall in the camp of trying to think about, all right, well, this matchup that this person's playing with, like they have an incredible run defense.
Yeah.
So, ESPN's telling me that they can score a bunch of points, but I know they're going up against a really good running defense, and they're not likely to have a good game. And I get in my own head, make the changes, and then to your point, should have just followed the project.
Right.
You made it. There's a point here where you have to, and I think this is, with investing, it's with sports in general. You got a good player, you just got to stick with them.
Yeah.
Don't take him in. Don't take him out. You got a good company that you own. Don't sell it. Don't buy back
Right.
in. Just hold it and ride that good player, ride the good investment, and give it time to do it.
Right.
And where I faltered was, trying to pick and choose. And then I also had players get hurt.
Yeah,
That's
and
going
that
to
happens.
happen, and it's out of your control, and it is what it is. But that's the key of, with investing. It's you don't have to be getting in and out. Don't try to time the market.
Right.
Same thing with fantasy football. Don't try to time the matchups.
Right.
I mean, now ESPN analysts, so you got to time the matchups. Just like CNBC analysts will tell you got to be getting in and out of the stock. But the
Right.
reality is, you have something good, just stick with it, and
Yeah.
allow that to help guide your
Well,
success
so
over time.
one, understand your strengths and weaknesses.
Yes,
Know what your strengths and weaknesses are.
and know that I don't have time to dedicate to
Right.
it. Nor am I an NFL analyst.
and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Nothing
It's
wrong
for
with that.
fun.
Yep.
So understand your strengths and weaknesses. Like I said, I didn't know Garrett Wilson's name until just a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
But I saw his projected points each week and left him in.
G. Wilson.
So think of that in investment terms. What kind of market volatility can you tolerate?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of loss could you potentially tolerate that's going to drive you crazy, or is it no big deal? What are your own specific needs and goals? And also, how comfortable are you with managing investments?
And how involved do you want to be?
Right.
Do you want to have someone who you have confidence in and you trust and you rely on them to guide your decisions? In your case, the ESPN analysts who are spending their time all day long coming
It's
up
a
with those
computer.
projections?
Yeah, and it's a computer algorithm, right?
Or do you want to be involved in it every second of every day when you have a full-time job and you have a life outside of there to do?
Right.
And I'm not talking about fantasy football now. Now it's about investing
Sure.
too.
Right.
Looking at what companies you should have, how you should be invested over time. If that's what you want, there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, and how paralyzing it can be to make a decision when you get stuck on the smallest piece of nuance.
Paralysis by analysis.
Right. And I've done, when you're in you're
We've
like,
all
well,
done
should
it.
I play?
Everyone does it.
Should I be playing this running back or this running back?
Yeah.
Now this running back's playing, Carolina. They've got a worse defense, but this running back's been really hot. How do you know? Do you get so stuck, or do you just say, "Look, this player is projected to do better this week.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with that one."
Yep.
And hand it off, or otherwise you don't make a decision. The other one is, don't try to time the market. We have beaten this one to death, and we will continue to do so for the life of this podcast and our careers.
Yeah.
Is not trying.
We're always
going to
have to contend with it.
Um,
Because it's the old ad, buy low and sell high. Yes, it sounds
Right.
great. But when you allow your emotions to get into it and time the market, the reality is you buy high and you sell low.
That's what happens. I'll give you an example of where recently this played out in fantasy football. I have the Bills running back, Devin Singletary, on my team. And I played him a lot this year, even though he was not projected to be the best flex player or running back, because I like the Bills and I want him to do well. So I want to have something to root for. So about 3 weeks ago, I took him out of my lineup because he just, he was getting 9 points, and I've got, Najee Harris or someone who's getting 12.
Uh-huh.
I think, let me just, again, go with what's working. Go with the projections. I did that. Now, Christmas Eve, he gets 20 points.
Yep.
He has a touchdown. He goes over 100 yards for the first time this year. And I'm watching the game, and I find myself, I'm yelling when the Bills are doing well, like, no.
I know.
I'm
Yeah,
mad.
it's tough. It's tough because
And,
then you start rooting against it.
And Liz says to me, she goes, you probably should be cheering for them, right? And I said, yeah, but I
didn't play him. He's on my
I
bench.
didn't play him. and I'm thinking, I should have played Devin. I should have played Singletary. That, to me, is like the investment that every once in a while, you do hit on an investment. If you're trying to time the market, every once in a while, you're right.
Yep.
And it leads you to think. You get that false sense of confidence sometimes of, I
Yeah.
know what I'm doing.
But
It's like-
sometimes I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's like golf.
Oh, yeah.
You hit one good
Yeah.
shot and you're like, I can do this.
When's my phone call for the tour coming?
Right. And then, the next 20, you hit that one
Then you hit your
monster
drive 3 holes over.
And then you're in the middle of the fairway, you're trying to lay up and you hit it 12 yards. You
Yeah.
just top it and it bounces once and goes 12 yards.
Yeah.
We've all done it. It's like that though.
It is.
In that trying to pick and time the market, you may be right sometimes. But the odds are, and the overwhelming course of history has shown us, we're often not.
Yep. And sometimes we have to cut our losers,
Yes.
which is really, really hard. It's hard to do with investments. It's also hard to do with fantasy football because that first round draft pick that you had
Yeah.
may not be cutting it, and there may be other options there where you have a replacement that can be better. And it's the same thing. This stock that you've loved, or you have this personal
Right.
connection, or whatever it may be, and you're holding on to it because of sentimental value.
Mhm.
And, well, it should have done this, or it should have done well, and it's not. Well, what are you giving up in the meantime by not
Right.
replacing it with something that maybe isn't a first-round pick, but maybe will be better than
Right.
what that
Better than what you
investment-
had.
Correct.
And that's
That's opportunity cost.
It is also really hard. It's hard to admit you were wrong
Yeah.
and to acknowledge that.
Sure.
It's hard for anyone. But again, an example. So after I auto drafted, I'm looking through my lineup. I'm like, okay, I literally went, who do I know that is on my team? Like, okay, CD Lamb. I know that name. I think he's pretty good.
Yeah.
And then I say, oh, Kyler Murray. He just got a huge contract from the Arizona Cardinals. Okay, he must be pretty good.
Yeah.
He's been hurt.
And he had been very
He
good.
had been very good. This year,
Not so much.
he
Yeah.
was not great.
Yep.
He was average. But I kept him in my line. And I had Kirk Cousins on my bench, the Vikings quarterback,
Yep.
who for an early part of the year had some good games and some bad games. But as the year went on, really started to find a groove and put
Yep.
up better numbers.
He's not the best quarterback in
No.
fantasy. He's probably not even in. If he's in the top 5, he's barely in the top 5.
No, he's not.
But he's better than Kyler Murray.
Exactly. And that was, now what led me to that realization was Kyler Murray being on a bye and then being hurt. So I
Yeah.
had to take him out because I was
right. You didn't have a
resistant
choice.
to. I was resistant to before then.
Yep.
And I thought, nope, he's the better player. He's the better player. He's got a bigger, got a bigger contract. He's a better player. What happened after that is I went with what I felt gave me the best chance to win. Now, when one quarterback is hurt, obviously
makes
another
the
one.
decision easier.
But having a better option
Yep.
and acknowledging, all right, time to move on in investments, that can allow you to stop dealing with the stress, anxiety, or disappointment of seeing a losing investment that hasn't worked out for a long period of time. But also saying, well, look, is there something else I'm missing? And that's the opportunity cost, like you mentioned.
Yep.
And in this case, it was, okay, yes, I have a big name quarterback. He's not produced for a long period of time. And now he's just out. I have to go with a different option. And that different option has proven to be significantly better.
Enter Kirk Cousins.
Enter Kirk Cousins. So sometimes you have to move on.
Yeah.
And so, look, whether I finish first or second, I don't know. But it was enlightening to me that, I really just kind of tried to play the odds this year or go with the expert.
Uh-huh.
And that worked.
It did, yeah. For someone who didn't care, you seemed awfully upset about not playing Devin Singletary
Oh,
on
man,
Christmas
I was so
Eve.
mad. So mad.
Sounds like you might care.
You had left. You had left by that point.
Yeah.
And I was just yelling at the TV but again, I'm thinking, it's finally working. Like you're having this great game and I'm missing it. That's the FOMO. I'm missing out on this.
And the hardest part is that it's also your favorite team.
Yeah.
And you're watching the game on Christmas Eve, so you're paying attention to it. You want to be excited about it, but it's hard to.
But you know what
when you're on the
happened?
bench.
It turned out to not matter. It
This
didn't
time.
matter
This
this time. It
time.
didn't matter this time. It didn't
Yeah.
matter this time.
Imagine how mad you'd be if it did matter.
I would have been.
Yep.
I would have
Still
been.
be sore about that.
But
if it had.
this is the same with investing. There are going to be times where you're like, oh, I really missed that one.
Yep.
You move on.
Mm-hmm.
You got to move on.
That's right.
So, anyway, that's what I've learned from playing fantasy football. Probably play next year.
Yeah, it's
Probably
fun.
play next year.
I very much
in the
enjoy
league.
it.
Team Wade.
Team
will-
Wade again.
will likely return.
Might as well. You may have to defend a championship.
I may. I may.
Let's hope.
Yeah, the one thing I suggested to our neighborhood is instead of a prize, a prize for the winter, a consequence for the last place finisher.
Or you can do both.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Anyway. All right. Well, hey, we appreciate you being with us. Wade into Wealth continues next week.